Here, 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 here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, oh, okay. Usually we are very much on time, but sorry today that. Okay, fine. 10 minutes is also good. Okay, let's get straight to the thing. First of all, good morning. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. In the last week of Chodesh Av, and we're getting ready for Elul. As you know, that the Rebbe brought from the Menachem that they would start saying Ksivich Simatova from Chof Ov. What's the cheshbon? Because at Arboim Yom Kodim Mitzidas Lavlad, 40 days before the baby's born, that the Malachim are already talking about what's going to be with the baby, and there's a birth on the Rosh Hashanah. So their minig was to say Ksivich Simatova 40 days before Rosh Hashanah. So the Eibusha helped everyone here. Techei Yisrael should have a Ksivich Simatova, Shana Tova Msuka, a good year and a sweet year. Beruchnis of the Gashmis. Someone asked me a question this week. He has a Bakutiv, the Baal Tshuva, who is very close with his sort of his mashpia. And the person said that he had this the following question. Basically about kibbud of towards his father. So he has very ill feelings towards his father. He didn't say details, but he says his father, when he was young, dragged him down spiritually to the lowest points. He didn't say any stories. I have no idea what that means. His father is also very abusive, and so therefore he can't. So he can't have a yachas with his father. So that wasn't even his question. He doesn't even realize that itself is a question. But he can't have it. He doesn't call his father. Doesn't visit. Doesn't know his father. What's a shaila? So lately he has a friend, a good friend in Williamsburg, who told him a good eitzah. Told him that when he gets Aliyah L'Torah, he shouldn't use his father's name. His father's a Rishon. You're not allowed to go get Aliyah L'Torah with your father's name. Because a Rishon. And that was his question. That was his question. So first, I'll be mesiachas to that question. Is that a question?
And what's
the answer? Obviously, how you define a Rosha. And also to the main question, which he didn't ask, which is he obligated to have kibbud of aim or not? We'll split the questions into two because his question itself had two parts to it. One is the fact that his father is not religious, and he said his father laughs at him that he became religious. So is he mechuyev still to have kibbud of towards his father? And then the second question is, it says his father is abusive, which again I don't know what it means, in what way abusive, but whatever it is, right, could be emotionally abusive. So the shaila is, what's taka, and this is not an uncommon question. It's not an uncommon question. So we have never Sunday morning dealt with this question. So I figured like I got the question last week. It was close to when we read in the Torah Kabbalah Sadicha Menachem. So I figured it's a good question to get into. Let's read here. The Tur writes like this: Kosav Rambam Mamzer Chayev Bekibud Aviv Ve'imoy Umoyron. A mamzer is chayiv in both in kibud and moida of his parents. Even though if he hits them, he's potter unless they did tshuva, but he's still chayiv bekibud. Even if his father was a rosha, he has to have both kibud and moida of his father. Okay, that's what the Rambam writes. The Tur disagrees. The Tur says, no, it's good. The Tur says, he's a Rosh, it's delicious. He's a Rosh, he's not Chai b'kvoidik. I'm reading Gabi, Inich Lahem Avim, Porog, Gezula, Chayovim, Lahagzim, Nekavad Avim, Uporich, Vo'alav, Oisa, Maisa, Amchu. The Gemara says, talking about, for example, the father has a cow in the barn, He took that as interest for a loan. He took that for interest for a loan. He gave someone a loan for $1,000. He said, but I want something extra for that. The guy said, fine, I'll give you my cow. So he gave him back the $1,000 plus the cow. So now the son has the cow. The son is mechuyev mitzat kibud av. Now the father is in heaven. The father can't return the cow, but he's probably in some schwitzbad somewhere 50 below zero in Gehenim. So if the son will give back the cow, it will be covered for his father. So he's mechuyev to give back the cow. If the father was a balaveda, he's potter. He doesn't have to give back the cow. So we see that it's potter from kibud avim if his father's a balaveda. The Torah says that the Gemara said that he has to return the cow if his father did tshuva. His father did tshuva, and his father said, "Oh yeah, I regret it before he dies. Tomorrow I'm giving back the cow." And then the guy died, so the son is mechuyev to give back the cow for his covered his father. But if his father never did tshuva and he died, the son keeps the cow; doesn't have to give it back. There's a charaya that for Rosha, if the son is not chayiv in kibud av, the Beis Yosef answers a simple answer. The Pnei Yeshua gives a different answer. The Rechaim gives an answer. Pnei Yeshua says, depends. It's if the father didn't do tshuva, so what happened? So the son now yashin, it's a Yerusha. It's his money. It's his money. It's not his father. His father died. His father doesn't own anything anymore. Now it's the son's. It's the son's money. It's not the father's money. You're not mechuyev to spend money with kibud avim is not with your money. It's begufa. You're not with mamoina. You're not mechuyev to spend money in order to be mechabed your parents. If they don't have money, it's like tzedakah. You give tzedakah. Charity starts at home. It's a different issue. But essentially, you don't have to spend your money for the kibud of your parents. You're supposed to do everything for them with their money, not with your money. So that's his money. Now, if the person did tshuva and he decided to give back the cow, so Chazal said that, look, it's as if the son never yashed. The father was said already that he's giving back this cow. So Chazal said, let's look at it as if he already gave it back. L'schus of the father. Let's make believe that the son never yashed this money. Because for it, Chazal's feeling bad for this guy. He really wanted to give it back. And now he can't because he died. So the Chazal said, let's make believe the son never yashed the cow and he has to return it. But if the father never planned to do tshuva, so now the cow belongs to the son, so the son is not mechuyev, but because it's his money. But otherwise, if your father's a Rosh, mechuyev there's a lot of rayas that first of all, the din is that if the father's mechuyev misa or mechuyev malchus, the son is not allowed to do it. Why is the son not allowed to do it? Because kibud av. Why is the guy getting malchus? Obviously, he did avedis. There's other eyes that Achronim bring. There's a story of Terach. That the Torah makes it sound as if Terach died before Avram Avinu traveled. That you shouldn't think that Avram Avinu left his father and didn't do kibbud av. His father couldn't be a bigger Rasha than Terach. So is the Charaya that even the father is a Rasha that you're chayiv in kibbud av? So there's a very strong thing to say that and the truth is the Shulchan Aruch paskins that way. The thing is, there's another answer. There's an interesting answer from the Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh. The Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh says that you're mechuyev to have kibbud av for the father because the Rambam is choishish that maybe the person was mahar b'tshuva, and in 1 second the person was mahar b'tshuva. In 1 second the person could become from a Rosh Gomer to a Tzaddik Gomer, just like we learned a few weeks ago, and those are learning Rambam. That if a person is mekadosh isha, I'm not sure tzaddik gomer, it's a suffix mekudesh, even though it's a rosh gomer, because shema here tshuva libi. So and if it was vada here tshuva libi, it'd be mekadesh as vada. It's just we don't know if it was here tshuva. So according to the Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh, and the way he also says it, he has a sefer Rishon Letzion. According to that, if a person really is a big balaveda, and he's vaday lo yidid tshuva believer, so he's doing an aved in front of your nose right now. So then takaza you'd be potter from kibbud av. But it's a funny pshat that he gives in the Rambam. The truth is, I found that Torah's Chesed was a big poisek nachosed tzedek. Says it doesn't sound that way from the Rambam. So bottom line is the Shulchan Aruch Paskins. Let's read it inside. Mam zechai bekovet over v'ima afilu over v'rosha v'alaveda machabde misyorim imenu. The Machaber holds, and that's the way the Sfardim Paskin, that even the father is a Rosha Balaveda, he's Mechuyev bekovet and Yira. The Ramah brings Yeshayim, the ain't Mechuyev l'chabed over Rosha, Elim Kain also Tshuva. The Ramah brings the other opinion, but it doesn't seem so clear if he Paskin like the other opinion. So what are the Ashkenazim to do? The Sfardim make, there's no question. The Rambam, the Riv, the Rosh hold that even the father is a Rosh Yechayev, and the Machaber Paskins that way. There's no question. The Sfardim know that if the father is a Rosh, you have to be Machaber. Ashkenazim, the question is how do they have to do? Because the Ramah didn't make himself clear. He just said the Yesh Oimrim, the Eine Mechuyev l'chabed of Rosh, Elam Ken also Tshuva. So Aruch HaShulchan
He's no longer a Rosh if he did tshuva.
right? But if he didn't do Tshuva,
Contradictory on its face.
what's contradictory?
It says that if his father's a Russia, then he doesn't have to respect them unless he did tshuva.
And which in
So
that case is not a Rosh.
Then
He's not a Rosh,
Russia,
right?
Then
Then he's not a Rosh.
make up your
right?
mind.
No, he's not a Rosh.
But if he didn't do tshuva before he died,
How you know? Maybe he healed. Maybe the second before he died.
No, we're talking about if the person's alive.
but the question is, did anybody see it?
If the guy is,
If he- if
Ah,
he-
It's inside the heart.
But if
Only Hashem.
Well-
so, then I'm sorry to jump in, but may I?
Yeah.
I actually read one of the Ami letters, book number 2 by Rabbi Schwab.
uh-huh.
That there was he gave a little story of a man who had the same situation where his father was abusive, was a Russia, and he would visit him in his dream after he died, asking him to say
Kaddish.
Kaddish for him.
Yeah.
So he made a tshuva.
No.
He says, I can't, I'm stuck in Gehenna.
Yeah.
I can only go.
So that's our
to
question.
do
The
Kaddish
question
for him."
today is the son mechuyev to listen or not?
An obligation.
Now, there is an extra thing to the question. The Gemara says, "Machavde b'chayev, machavde b'moisa." You have to respect your father and mother when they're alive and also when they die. Happens to be the Kaddish is a little question. There's in Siman Reish Mem, the Birkei Yosef says that the Mashal had a question. Someone said his mother passed away and he was saying Kaddish for his mother. His father came to shul and he had a fit. You're saying Kaddish? I'm alive. I forbid you from saying Kaddish for your mother. So they came, so they asked the Marshal the question. The Marshal said, since the son is mechuyev, the covet his father and his father can't tell him to do an Aveda. And because he's mechuyev to mechavet his mother, he's chayiv to say Kaddish for his mother. His father can't tell him it's forbidden for him to say Kaddish. The Birkei Yosef argued, the Birkei Yosef said, but saying Kaddish is only a minute. It's not somewhere, it's brought in the Tone of the Veda, in the Ovis Teribnosen, it's brought in Medrashim, but it's not brought anywhere as an obligation.
Question
But- One second, but the Mashal, for the defense of the Mashal probably holds, who cares if it's a Chi of Midiraisa that Rabban or a Minik? If everyone says Kaddish for their mother, and this guy's not saying Kaddish for her mother, there isn't more a disrespect. There isn't a bigger way to disrespect your mother that everyone is saying Kaddish for their mother, and this guy is not saying Kaddish for his mother, and therefore the Mashal Paskin, that even though his father forbid him from saying Kaddish for his mother, he's mechuyev. It's like his father saying you should be machal Shabbos. The din is that you don't have to listen to your father. Since I already mentioned this 1 second, the Pnei Yeshua has a very interesting word. Pnei Yeshua says that the opinion that says that the father is a Rosh, you're not mechuyev to be mechaved. Because I don't understand. The din is that says if his father tells him to be machal Shabbos, he doesn't have to listen. Which tzaddik tells his son to be machal Shabbos? You ever heard of a tzaddik should tell his son to be machal Shabbos? Obviously, if the guy is telling his son to be machal Shabbos, he's a rosh, and still the Torah is saying that you shouldn't listen to him. Why do you have to tell him the son not to listen? If he's potter from kibbud avayim, obviously he's not going to listen. Is the mashma that you're chayiv to be mechabed your father It's mashmat yechayiv to be machabed your father, even if he's a Rasha. Elamai, when he tells you to be machal Shabbos, you don't have to listen. But if he tells you to buy him a chocolate Danish, you're mechuyev to listen and bring him a chocolate Danish. Because that's what the Torah says. If he tells you machal Shabbos, don't listen to him. Is the Chamashma, if he asks you for a chocolate Danish, you do have to listen to him. So the Pnei Yeshua answers that everyone agrees that if the guy who just did one Aveda, he's not a Rosh. When we say he, the whole machlokes of the Tur and the Rambam is only a guy who is he repeatedly offensive. He keeps on doing Aveda, not that he did once an Aveda. That's what the Pnei Yeshua says. On the other hand, before I'm coming to the shir, I found in my Yitzhak Chochman a sefer that brings the name of Rav Elyashiv. That Rav Elyashiv said that today you have people that are machal Shabbos. It says the din is the Rambam says a person's machal Shabbos is like a goy l'chol bora. Then the hilchah Shabbos. So if his father is machal Shabbos, even the Rambam will be asking that you put it from keep it up. I think that might be a little bit extreme because most people that today that are machal Shabbos are probably in the klal of tenoikesh and ishba. Now, in Rav Elyashiv, there's a little bit of the Chazon Ish was more on the side that today most people are in the get of tenoikesh and ishba. Rav Elyashiv didn't think that way, but I think this would be two opinions of Rav Elyashiv together, which is a little extreme to say that a person's father was never religious. His grandfather was not religious. They came to America in 1880s. Now 5 generations Americans. They're basically on Shabbos. The father's Machal Shabbos was never learned in yeshiva and never learned in Hebrew school. What is Machal Shabbos? So to say that the garden variety Yid today in America, to call them Ad Kedei Kach, I think that's extreme. I think most people that are Machal Shabbos today is the classical question that we're asking today. Even if you're not going to call them so much a tinik shenish, but to say that they're b'chal not considered a bal aveda, maybe you won't go to that extreme, because this guy, especially with his father, obviously his father knows that he's doing some things wrong, so maybe we're not going to call him a machal Shabbos, but at least we could say that the question is taka: is his father's a Rosh? Is he mechuyev? Now you can go to the extreme and say that his father's a total tinik shenishba and he's not even a Rasha. That would be extreme. Either way, I think would be extreme. You could say he's a Rasha, and it's machlokes is a chayiv to keep it out, and I'm a chayiv to keep it out. Abuse I want to leave in a second. Abuse I want to leave for later.
Even if he is a tinik shenishba in terms of Torah mitzvahs, if you're abusive, then that's a
right.
That's a separate issue.
Right. He's a Rasha.
That's somebody to learn from or not. So if you learn about Shabbos, but even society will teach you
Right.
not being abusive. That is the bad
Right.
thing.
So that I agree.
So-
That's what I'm saying. I would say that this guy, to say that his father is a tzaddik, it's a little extreme. To say that he's a Rasha like a goy is extreme. He's a Rasha. So that's the machloikis. Are you chayiv to be machabed the father who's a Rasha or not? So the Lamaisa, the Aruch HaShulchan says lakula. You don't have to machabed. But the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and I know it sounds like I say, oh, Kitzur Shulchan Aruch.
That's a cool. You're
I
mocking
know.
about yourself.
I know.
It's seichel.
But he says not to, you don't have to be mechabed. But the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says it's mechuyev to be mechabed his father, because he says it's a suffik deiraisa l'chumra. It's a suffik deiraisa. I don't know how to paskin. And the Ramah didn't say that 100% halacha is like the Tur. Just brought as a machloikas and Ramah and Tur. He said it's a yeshem, and we have a golden rule: suffik deravon l'kula, suffik deiraisa l'chumra. And therefore, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says that if his father is a Rasha, he's mechuyev to have kibud and moira of his father. Bottom line. Now, I have to mention that the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, who lived about 150 years ago, maybe less, was besides writing a Shulchan Aruch that's called Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, was an unbelievable posek. He's one of the biggest poskim in Hungary, and he wrote other svarim from his other svarim like Kes Sasayfa and Lechem B'Simla. You know that he was a Ga'ana Ga'oin. Today, you have people that write kitzas for him. So,
Was he taking into account the whole tinik shenishba factor?
no, he doesn't. He just writes in the classical machloikis, and this machloikis.
Because that makes all the difference.
Right. That's in our case. So he's not talking about that. He's just saying
So
if
it's
our
hard to
father's a Rosh.
extrapolate from
No,
classic
right.
poskim.
He's just
Now,
talking right. He's
Yeah,
just
we have
talking
a tinik
about
shenishba factor.
He's just talking about the case of a father's a Rosha, the classical case. It's machloikis Rama Tur. It's halacha the Reisa l'chumra. It's a suffix. You have to be machmed. Now, if we should take in account today, we should to say exactly. So it's hard to say that this father, this guy, is such a tinnik shenishma. We'll call him a tzaddik. On the other hand, it's hard to say that he's so bad that he's a goy. I think most cases, including this case, will be in the middle. He's a Rasha. He knows that he's not where he should be. He's not a tzaddik, but he's not a goy. He's in the middle. So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch holds that you have to be machman. The Bach also passes that way. It makes a lot of sense. As I said, the kid today, people that write kitzurs for him, a guy who has an itch to write a sefer, he doesn't. So he writes a kitzur. I'm making a joke, but he writes a kitzur sefer, you know. So, but the Reb Shlomo Gansfried, who wrote the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, he was a posek. In his day in Hungary, he was considered a very choshev posek, and we know that Chabad, the Rebbe Rashab, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and our Rebbe, had an unbelievable reverence to the Baal Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Don't know why. They had an unbelievable.
Is there
Even
any
though he
Chabad in Hungary at that time? If they had a
no,
So
No.
you're saying that the Frierdiker Rebbe read the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch?
unbelievable advocate for Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. He was like very, very into the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch holds that Suffolk Deraisa, and they have to be. So therefore, this guy is really mechuyev to be mechabed his father. Now is the other question. Since the father's abuse, now I'm not sure which abuse he's talking about. Physical abuse, mental abuse. Maybe when he was a child, he physically abused him. Now it's a mental abuse. Now it's a trauma. So, and people a lot of times ask me the shaila. Now this second shaila is not the first time. This shaila is quite common that you hear from people. They say that Rahman al-Islam, the parents were abusive to them when they were young, and there's an unbelievable trauma involved, and they feel that they can't be doing the mitzvah kibbud avayim. Now, it's very important to hear the shaila from the beginning to the end. Unfortunately, today's pop psychology is to blame everything on your parents. So according to pop psychologists, if you go to any counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever title they have, so 10 out of 10 people that'll come visit them, they'll tell them everything, all your tzaddik is from your father and your mother, and therefore you should disconnect from your father and your mother. It's definitely that's not consistent with what the Torah holds. It's impossible. It's not shaykh when the Torah said that 99 out of 100 people are potter. According today, if you go today to modern psychology, they'll tell you 99 people that are coming into this room. I'm telling them that they should disconnect from their parents. So obviously it can't be. So I'm just giving this as Akdama. However, there is a Ramba. Right.
But still, the fact still is that the student away.
Oh, this is what I want to say. Very good. Excellent. Exactly. It's taken out of proportion, but there is a story of an Amoyer Debasi who his mother was a Bissel Meshiga. So she said, make me a nice jewelry. He had a nice jewelry. I want to marry a handsome guy. I'm going to find a handsome guy for you. No, I want a guy just like you. Oh, think about it. We got some sugar. He packed his bags next day and he went to Eretz Yisrael. So you have to balance between the stories. But the
Does
Rambam.
the Gemara say what Ravasi did was correct, or?
Oh, so let's read it inside. The Gemara seems to hold that it was correct. The Rambam says in Hilchas Mamrim, go 4 paragraphs from the top. I'm sorry, 3 lines. Rambam, Mamrim Perek Vav Halacha Yud. A person that his father and mother became crazy. The das was matudif. He has to work with them on their level and their das until they on them and they become normal again. If he can't stand in front of them because they're crazy and so crazy he can't take it, he should leave them alone and walk away. And he should get other people to take care of them, whatever they need. That's the way he passes it. Here, actually, on this din, the Shulchan Aruch totally concurs with the Rambam. However, the Ravid has a problem with this halacha. Because of Ravid, he said it's not true. If he's going to go away, who's going to take care of his father? So the
So
question,
he's avoiding the issue.
yeah,
The Rav is saying that you can't avoid the issue. You have to confront it somehow. You can't just run
Right.
away.
can't just run away. Because
Situation where you can. And with one says that do it. this
Right,
way,
it's
and they
like-
say, hey, but there's sometimes that you can.
right,
When
it's
you
like so.
can't,
It
you can't do
depends.
So the Kesef Mishnah writes like this: "In Pei the Kama the Kedushin Daf Lamed Aleph Amrin Nevasi Havalei He Amos Kain Amar Lei Beina Tachshit Avedla." I want nice jewelry. He made it for her. Beina Gavra, I want a man. I want to marry a man. Nayin Loch, I'm going to find you a man. Beina Gavra the Shopper Kevasach. I want a man like you.
She says that to her son.
She says that to her son.
Nice compliment.
He didn't take it as a compliment. Shavka, he left her alone. He packed his bags and he went to Eretz Yisrael. The Kesef Mishnah says, Eitza Tova Kamash Malon. That the Rambam is giving us a good eitzah of what to do. He should not just leave and forsake his parents. He should give someone else the job to take care of it. Ain't suffic she can't also Abasi. Definitely that's what Abasi did. But the Gemara never says that that's what Abasi did. Because of arrival in Zeronachon, Abilo Rabbeinu Moitzi Dinza Medaita Sagosa Saga, Abalachish Moitzi Oisa moved to the Rabasi Shukasafti, a Mokal Sagosi. He says, what kind of question is that I've been asking against the Rambam? It's a Beferish Gemara, so what's your question? It's maybe that the Ravid holds like the Ran that he to go to Eretz Yisrael, it's mutter. But if he wanted to go to New York, it would have been also. But it's not mashma that way from the Gemara. It's mashma that the point was that he was able to leave his mother because she was so crazy. Okay.
But he can't neglect her.
Huh?
Maybe she was able to take care of herself.
Or maybe he arranged someone
Oh.
else.
So I would say like this: in the case of Ravasi, she was able to take care of herself. Mashenkein here, in the Rambam. So I want to read one more line. It says the Gemara in Kiddushin. It's a classical Gemara. Koser edim am pamachas lobish sirkoin shalzov v'yoshem megdoli raimim v'asa ima v'krosim emena v'tapchala al roishe v'yorkeloi v'fana v'loichlema. The Dim was talking about someone who had unbelievable kibbutz aim, that he was sitting between Gedolei Roim, and he was dressed fancy, and his mother went and ripped off his jacket and hit him on the head and spit him in the face, and he said nothing. As kibbutz aim.
But
So
that's passive. That's not doing something. That's not doing
right.
something.
I'll
So
get
maybe
to the
that's
second.
different.
I want to get to a second. The Chaim Posuk Rambam. Look in the next paragraph. A few words. I'm sorry, I jumped over here. Chaim Posuk Rambam. Ad heichen hu kibbutz aim. Afilu not al kis shal zuhuvim shlev v'shlichu b'fanav layam. Even they took his money and they threw it into the ocean. Not stam of money, but a bag of gold coins. Lo yachlimim v'lo yitzar b'fneim v'lo yichas kenegdem. Lo yikabel gzeres hakosav v'shemekabel the gzer of the Eibishter. V'yishtek he should keep quiet. Ad heichen moed afilu lovish begodim chamudas v'yoshe b'reish b'fnei hakol. Ba'ov v'yima v'kor begodim v'yikol b'reish v'yorkel b'fanav. Lo yachlimim elo yishtek v'yire v'yifchad mimelech malchei amlochim shetzivo b'kach. That the moed is not from his father and his mother. The moed is from the Eibishter, that the Eibishter told him to have moed of his father and his mother. She'ilu melech b'sav adam gozer alav dova shemetzad yesem is a lo yochel afarkes b'dova kal v'chon el misha amar b'hoya oilam. If there's a melech b'sav adam that came and ripped his jacket and hit him on the head, spit him in his face, what would he do? Nothing. So your father and mother is the same thing. Because right now the Melech Malcham Lochem HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that's telling you that you have to not respond. So just keep it in the motive.
Said Ravase when she said, "I want somebody like you." Maybe she meant in your caliber. You're very high. Let me say it's you. I want you.
Yeah,
So it's a little bit.
Ravasi was very smart.
he you know,
He wasn't.
the Gemara says she was a Isha Zakena. The Gemara is emphasizing probably. Usually a Isha Zakena knows that it's hard to find the Shidduch for her. Now, when a Isha Zakena says that she wants a young and handsome guy who's 25 years old, though usually that means that she's something wrong. That's what the Gemara emphasized. She was Isha Zakena. Why did the Gemara have to say she's Isha Zakena? Because it could be a mother which is young. Maybe she had him when she was 20, and right now she's 40, and she wants a young, handsome guy, and it's normal that a 40-year-old woman wants a. But the Gemara emphasizes she was an Isha Zakena. She was an old woman she gave birth to him when she was 40, and now she's 65 or 70. And the 70-year-old woman that says, I want to have a chassan who's 25, 2025 is Mistama.
Well, it just shows you how brilliant and genius the Gemara was. They are to see 2022 where women are looking as young as they do at 65.
So I want to just one more line. The Tosfos says that the Medrash says that Ima Hoisa Shoita, that his mother was a Shoita. So I would say like this, that the Rambam brings this din, and the Medrash says that the mother was a Shoita. So the Rambam said, if the mother is a Shoita and the father is a Shoita, you could walk away and not machabed them. So how could you say so l'choida? But over here he is mechuyev to be machabed. So the simple answer is like this. I give a little lamdisha words. In Shabbos, there's a question when a person is machal Shabbos in order to save another Jew. Is it hutra or the chuya? What does it mean hutra? Hutra means that now there's no Shabbos. Chuya means we're doicha Shabbos. What's the nafkamina? You have to be memayit in the chilul Shabbos. And we paskin that this Gabi Tuma also say Tuma in the Beis Hamikdash that again the question hutra the chuya. Same thing here. The Rambam learned the story that the mother spit it in the face, and the Medrash says it was a shoita. Probably you don't need a Medrash to figure out that the mother was a shoita. So, and still he's mechuyev in kibud amoida of his father and mother. Is a raya that when the story of the Basi and these stories is not a contradiction. You're allowed to walk away from the situation, but still you're not potter. It's not that the Basi became potter from kibbud avaim. He was chayiv in kibbud avaim. Elamai, because he can't. He can't deal with it. He can't deal with it. So he can walk away. But if the mother is in front of him and then spits him in the face, he's chayiv. He can't now. He's chayiv in kibbud and moida of aviv ve'imoy. Therefore, the Rambam said that he should take someone else and appoint them to take care of the father. The Ravid says, what is it going to help? And the Emes says, the Taz and the Shulchan Aruch like the Ravid. He says, Menachem, if she could be taken care of, let the son take care of. If she can't be taken care of, no one can take care of her. The answer is, the Migdaloi's answers are Balabata Shateretz, and I think he's right. He says, a mother knows that she could act silly with her son. If you're gonna put her in to the Hebrew home of the age, you're gonna put her into Owel, you'll put her into Sharon's manor, is Afilas is meshuga, but seichel dachman haben. Even as sedreit as the mother is, when the caretakers in Sharon Manor are going to come and tell her, okay, ma'am, it's time to go to sleep, she's not going to start doing the hopkazatzke, because she knows that these people are not going to. They're going to. There's rules here. As crazy as she is, once they're in an institution and people are taking care of them, they know there's no monkey business with their own son and daughter. They know they could to machen foile shtick, but not with someone else. I think this is a balabata sheteretz, and it really makes a lot of sense. So back to what I think is that the Rambam looked at the two stories of Rabasi who ran away from his mother because she's crazy, and the story of that this guy that she spit him in the face and hit him on the head in front of everyone, and he was quiet. That he's still mechuyev in kibud moida, but he's allowed to run away. He's allowed to run away, and I think that's very poshut. Therefore, I would say like this: that if the parents are be'emes abusive, there's real trauma, and he can't take care of the. If you're gonna come talk to his father and mother, right away there's going to be a dispute. Right away, it'll be very difficult for him to handle the situation, and he won't be. It'll be not shaykh like the story of Rabasi. It's not shaykh for him to handle the situation. Then he's allowed to walk away. He's allowed to walk away. He's never allowed to be disrespectful. That's what people don't get. If his mother calls him, he can't hang up the phone. He could not answer her calls. He could not call her. And even then, if the mother's in the hospital, the father in the hospital, he has to make sure someone's visiting them. He has to make sure things are taken care of. When they pass away, he's mechuyev to say kaddish for them. Now, to this guy who asked that he shouldn't be oilel l'toida with his father's name, I said that's Rachmana litzlan to say that. Besides the fact that he's mechuyev to be that God forbid that he shouldn't use his father's name when he's Oilel Torah. For number one, he's mechuyev to be mechabed his father. His father's not here, so even if his father is abusive to him, how could he ignore his father's name? He's mechuyev. He's still mechuyev to be mechabed his father. It's very disrespectful that he comes to shul and they're giving him an aliyah and he's not using his father's name. Furthermore, and this is an extra thing, Stama thing I said. What's going to happen if Chas v'Shalom, this guy is going to get divorced? And he's going to forget 20 years gone by and he doesn't use his father's name, he uses his grandfather's name. He's going to come to Masadik Eden. And what's your name? His name is Yaakov. What's his father's name? Avram. It's not true. His father's name is not Avram. His get is going to be a get bottle. Now this woman is going to get married. They're going to have Mamzedim. Just because of name, because some Meshigana gave him an eitzah that he shouldn't use his name. So I said, number one, he's mechuyev to use his father's name by the Torah Medin Kibbud Avein. And if he's not going to use his father's name, Rahman al-Islam, there could be an unbelievable churban that could come out of it. So I said he has to know that he's allowed to walk away from his father. And if he feels that his father was abusive and is abusive, he can't have a relationship, that he can do what Rabasi did. But if his father calls him, he can't hang up the phone. If his father spits him in the face, he has to accept it. And if his father's ever sick, he has to make sure someone else is visiting the father. And if Mashiach Tzidkenu is not going to come quick enough, his father passes away, he's mechuyev to do whatever a son is mechuyev to do for his father. Even in Minik Yisrael, mechuyev to say tshuva, mechuyev to say kaddish, mechuyev to do everything. Now we have to add to this that the Rebbe had a very big koch that children should be makar of their parents. The Rebbe said that it says v'heishiv leibavos, v'heishiv leibavos albonim, and this is one of the prophecies that it said b'moisa Mashiach. The Meforshim say that in the one generation before Mashiach comes is going to be something marvelous. That the parents are going to be a little weaker in keeping Torah mitzvahs, and the children are going to become Baalei Tshuva, and they're going to be makar of their parents. And that's a befedish Tanakh, it's a pasuk. Obviously, every human being has bechira chofshis. The pasuk is just saying what's going to be in the generation before Mashiach comes. But that's really expected from every person that if they're a Baalei Tshuva, that they should do it in a way that they should be mekadev also their parents. The truth is, every one of us sitting in this room, the biggest nachas that we have is that our children are a little more frum than us, or a lot more frum than us. The biggest nachas, the Elamai, there are people who are Baalei Tshuva, and the parents also really having tremendous nachas. But it has to start with unbelievable respect. There's a lot of Baalei Tshuva. Everyone here knows a lot about Tshuva who the parents are not religious, but the parents have unbelievable pride that their children are more frum than them. But it has to start with proper kibbud of aim. If the son became religious, and now the son is disrespectful to them, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Chazal say even a ger that is not mechuyev really to respect his father anymore. But the Rabbanon said that he's obligated to respect his father and his mother. That the goyim are going to say, you see this guy, he was very nice to his father. He would come to his father, visit him every Sunday. And now he became Jewish and he never even calls his father. And it's unbelievable, Chilul Hashem.
Yeah.
So therefore Chazal said that he's mechuyev to be mechabed his father. Here it's not the mitzvah derabon, it's a mitzvah deraisa. Charity starts at home. He's to try to be mekar of his father and his mother, and it starts by showing them that he's keeping this mitzvah of kibbud av ha'em, even though it's difficult for him, and they know it's difficult, and they're making it difficult. A lot of times people ask me about the mitzvah of kibbud av ha'em. At the very important point, and I say it a lot of times to people, I say it to myself, and so I say it to other people. What do you think the mitzvah of kibbud av ha'em? If your mother and father make it super easy for you to do the mitzvah, do you think the schus is very big? The schus is not so big. If you claim that your mother is making it very difficult for you, your father is making it super duper difficult to do the mitzvah. The schus is now the schus is big. If they're making it easy for you, it's machai, it's nothing. You have to take time off your day. You know, it's a whole asik. It's not easy. You're taking time off your busy schedule, and it's not, and it's a whole asik. So then the schus is very big. They shall help him that this unbelievable schus. Obviously, they born him, and through that, Mashiach's Ken will come. I want to add two quick questions because we like to cover three questions. Akala asked, she's getting married. Bezos Hashem is Baruch, and it's very exciting. The Shulchan Aruch says that the Chosn Akala should fast on the day of the chuppah. The problem is that in the summer, especially, it's very long days, and it's difficult to fast. She's having a very hard time fasting. So what should she do about this? The emphasis, the poskim have three reasons why Chosn Kala should fast on the day of their chuppah. The first reason is brought in Shulchan Aruch is because that it's a question on the kiddushin if one of them is drunk. It has to be a das koino magna. The chosn has to be in full seichel, and the kala has to be in her full sense that she's agreeing to the thing. So it was scared that if they're going to eat and they'll drink, and then maybe they're going to inside there's going to be some alcohol, and they'll be shikir, and then there'll be a question in the kiddushin. There's another reason that's brought that because that's the day for them, it's their Yom Kippur. The Eibusher forgives them in all the sins. So therefore they want to use out the day in order to fast. There's a third reason that's brought that there was a minhag chassidim that when there's a mitzvah, that chaviva alein, not to eat before they do a mitzvah. So like Chabad, we don't eat on Rosh Hashanah in the morning before we hear shofar or in Sukkot, we don't eat until we do natilas full of yes. There's a lot of nafkaminas between these reasons. For example, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says that if what happens in the winter, that the chuppah is 2-3 hours after it's night. So mitzad, the reason of kapara they fasted a day. Mitzad, the reason that we have to make sure that they're not shikr. So they should keep on fasting till the chuppah. The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says if it's hard for them to fast, that by tzeisak achavim they could break the fast and make sure not to drink anything that's alcohol. We see that the poskim do deal with the nafkaminas between the three reasons. That's nishtakim breda, right? That's nishtakim breda because the
He's going to break his fast with alcohol.
Nishtakim breda. So you give him tak a little bit. But right, but no, you give it to the twice. The Chosn Kala drinks once right after because the koishel yain, the broch that's made by the is really for Chosn Kala. They drink before the Siddur Kiddush. Okay. So anyway, not enough to become. So anyway, the Dan is like this. We find the poskim say that a person that's having a hard time to fast, but they want to say anenu, and so they should fast until a half hour after chatzos, and then they could daven and say anenu, and then they'll break their fast. If it's shy, they have to eat earlier. But that's one of the things that the boys can bring. Look, I be a fast. That a person that can't do a full fast, he knows they can't do a full fast. They have to break their fast, but they feel they're far. They want to daven and say anenu, like the dad Tisha B'Av, anenu nachem. So they should right after chatzos, a half hour after chatzos. So now it's like 1:30. Should daven mincha, say nachem anenu, everything, and then they should break their fast. And there is such a thing as tainus shows that so that it has a certain chashivas of a tainus, and a person's makabel himself that he's going to fast a half a day. That has a chashivas of a tainus. So I would say that in general we see that there are people that not by Chabad, but there are those that very makel will be fasting for women because they think that women are very weak. And in the Chassidish Kreisen, besides Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, the girls don't fast. They don't even know what it is to fast. So but there is a little point to it that women are not so strong as men. Their bodies are not built the same. So I would say that a girl that is having a hard time to fast could be makabel on her to fast a half a day, and right after chatzos could daven mincha and do the whole thing. You know, chosn kala, they daven the shmonesa and they say anenu, and they say like Yom Kippur, they say the whole they did the whole thing before l'kain netzoyer, and then break the fast and just make sure not to eat anything which is a meichel or mishta, which is meshaken, which is too much sugar, too much alcohol, and these things, whatever. To eat things that are not meshaken. That's what I would say is a simple solution for this. Another question was, the thing. I came into Landau on Yud Shvat, and I asked the Gabbai, they're not saying Tachanun today, right? He says, why? I said, Yud Shvat. He said, what's Yud Shvat? I said, Bava Shereb is yours. I know it was the Friedrich Rebbe.
Oh.
So he said it happened a year before that. It happened the same on Gimel Tamas. But I'm telling you what happened this year. So I told him he can't say Tachanun. Now I didn't tell him, but maybe he saw the termination. If they were going to say Tachanun, I was going to start screaming and yelling. There's no such a thing. There was a Lubavitcher Rebbe lived here in Brooklyn for 10 years. A Baal Mercedes Nefesh, when Torah Vadas was in financial straits, and he just bought 770. He had the secretary call Shiraga Feivel Mendelovich that he should take a loan and put 770 as a guarantor. That if Friedrich wouldn't have a house to live in, if Torah Vadas didn't pay the loan, he would be in the subways without a house to live in when he was half paralyzed. In order to Torah Vadas should be able to go through their financial straits, opened up yeshivas in every city and a place in America. And here in New York, he lived there for 10 years. You're going to tell me you're saying Tachanun? Every other day, they don't say Tachanun because there's episode they found that Tzaddik. The Gabbai was given alam. He says, but the Chabad does say Tachanun on the day of a Tzaddik passed away. But doesn't Chabad? And he tells me, I asked a lot of Lubavitchers. They told me it's very good. We should say Tachanun. I told him, Yidel, these guys are not real Chabad. They don't know anything. He said, you're right. So the Fatzaitische Chabad is different. He announced that there's no Tachanun for Lubavitcher Rebbe's yards. Okay. So then I had a discussion with my brother. I told him,
Basically, the council said, the branches don't tell me, oh, the branches don't say Tachanun. Okay, not Tachanun, you stop it up.
okay, but he was under the impression that on Gimel Tammuz, on Yud Shvat, you say Tachanun. But I told him it's not true. That the Chabad month was only saying Tachanun. So he was confused about it. So now I have to explain what I think is very simple in my mind, and you'll judge your own. The Friedrich Rebbe was a tzaddik, and he had Mercedes Nefesh, Mamish, Al Kiddush Hashem, under the Nazis Yimach Shemam, and under the Soviets Yimach Shemam, Mamish ad Mitzuya Nefesh. So he lived in New York for 10 years, and a shul that have a minig that they don't say Tachanun on the yard set of a tzaddik, and in a Shona, which is gematria 355 days a year. In a shul like that, maybe 20 days or 30 days they do say Tachanun, and the rest they don't say Tachanun. I think it's a big chutzpah that on a day like Gimel Shvat or Gimel Tammuz or Chafov for that matter, that they should say Tachanun. I think they should not say Tachanun. It's Dava Pasha. Now Chabad says Tachanun because Chabad has a whole other shit. The day of the yard set of a tzaddik, there's a different mahalach. So there's tzaddik b'menasa yichya, tzaddik b'menasa yichaya. Other chassidim say the day of a yard set of a tzaddik, the tzaddik picks you up. You don't need Tachanun. But Chabad goes with the shit that the main thing of a tzaddik is not just to pick you up, to take you into his pocket, but to show you the way that you should yourself get up. So Adarabah, the day of the Petir of a tzaddik should be utilized to dafka say Tachanun because you can plunge yourself. So there's a mahalach. There's two mahalach. So I asked my brother what he thinks about it. He's now in camp, and because it's Chofov, so I asked him what do you think about it. So he asked a few there's a Rosh Yeshiva Rabbi Aster in Oleg Torah, and he stood up. He said he thinks I'm right. Why? The Gemara has a machloikis dun minei minei dun minei v'uki basra. We'll talk another time about the lumdus of it. Dun minei minei means that whatever I learn from this halacha has to be exactly like this. Dun minei v'uki basra means that you learn from that halacha, but uki basra in this place you have to judge where you're bringing the halacha to. And we paskin dun minei v'uki basra. So he said the dun minei would be Chabad on Chofol. They don't say they say Tachanun. So we also say Tachanun. Dun minei v'uki basra means, why does Chabad say Tachanun on the Yortz of a Tzaddik? Because they feel that it's a good opportunity, it's a moedik day, let's chapan and say Tachanun. But the Asrei in this place, when it's a Yortz of a Tzaddik, you chapan and you don't say Tachanun. And the halacha is dun minei v'uki basrei. Dun minei v'uki basrei. So you take from Chabad that Chof Av is a special day, Gimel Tam is a special day, Yud Shvat is special, Yud Tes-Kislev is a special. But Uke Be'asarei, in this place, was tut man auf a Yortzeit von a Tzadik? Man sagt Tachen, man sagt nicht Tachen, man sagt nicht kein Tachen. So am Ende, man sagt nicht kein Tachen.
Say something good about it. So he.
Okay,
he
but
thought-
from
he
now
thought-
on,
he thought that,
whatever happened yesterday is
Pasuk,
yesterday.
Pasuk.
I'm talking tomorrow. I'm not talking about yesterday. I think it's an important thing to establish when you go into a shul on Gimel Tammuz that Chas v'Sholem that they should say Tachan. Chof Av, Gimel Yud Tes-Kislev.
You know, the-
Unless they say that anyway, maybe.
Unless they say if you're going into a Litvish shul, they anyway say Tachan on B'Yard. So then versteht sich. There's different.
Yeah.
Dum minei v'uki b'asrei. If in this place for Yortzeit of a tzaddik, the minig is that they don't say Tachan.
No one says
I don't
Tachan is
understand.
a live Omer.
Now, Loka says that when you go into a shul, that they skip the afternoon, you also skip the afternoon even if you do say. So if I tell them, I'm gonna end up skipping myself. If I wanna be selfish, that day I wanna work.
Oh, but you heard the
myself.
Sikha last night, that a person has to, when a person has two considerations, his own spiritual or the cloud, he has to be mavata for his own for the cloud. So Taka, if you're gonna be in a shul like this, for you it would be better to say Taka. But for the cloud,
But
it's
then
better
you know,
not
there's
to
a
say
connection with that, with your side of a tzaddik and his tzaddik and a connection.
the Dailamavin, the Dailamavin, the Dailamavin. So therefore, I think Dumine Uke Ba'asrei, I think it's a beautiful chap from Rabbi Aster. Thank you very much. The Dumine Uke Ba'asrei, that Taka.
You are.
In this place, for the covet of a tzaddik, you don't say tachnun, you have to make sure that that's the covet of a tzaddik. David shall help them, the schus of the being mechabed our tzaddikim, that's connected to kibbud of aim, as kenecha b'yom raloch, that we're going in amidst Hashem to this week and next week to Yeshiva Shiftach K'vei Rishon v'Yatzach K'vei Tchila b'Vias Mashiach Tzedkenu.
Somebody wants to make it better, so when we know that comes Dino Tammuz and the truck, buy just somebody should buy a big thing of cake and a few things of oranges.
Oranges, niemals zu sein sicher, dass wir stecken. That's, I agree. I agree. That's, now you're talking.
How many people wash? Not
Not
a minute. All right.
Before Shleimah for Shalom HaKoyen,
Then to Pacha.
then to Pacha.
Yeah,
One of the two.
okay, so don't forget the pastor.
Thursday, there's a special chasana. Right now, we're dealing with this chasana special.
Because now when you think for the kinds of lunch shots, don't look beautiful. That's very nice. After 200 times, yeah, love that. How responsible is it? Even if you want Larry, good morning.